I'm Lucy, of Lucy's Library, or Library of Lucy. It's so many different ways and so many different platforms, but that's me. So this is my introduction video, so to speak. I am not a professional YouTuber. I have done YouTube in the past, got bored, dropped it, mostly because my previous YouTube focused on video games and art, and that's never been like a major passion of mine. So I'm here, and it's going to be a simple introduction because truly, I don't know what I'm doing. I started on TikTok a few weeks ago, and then they threatened to rip it out of my cold dead hands. And I don't have anywhere to go. I want to talk to people about books, but the people around me that read don't read fast enough for me to talk about stuff, because by the time they get to the books, I've already forgotten what it's about. Or there's my husband, who doesn't read, is not interested in books, and gives me a dead-eyed stare when I talk to him about what I'm reading. So, thus, this booktube channel has been born. It's not going to be fancy. I am not one of those readers that will own a hard copy of everything that I read. I read a lot on Kindle Unlimited, and I usually purchase books. One, if I can't get them on Kindle Unlimited and I have to purchase them on the Kindle anyways, I want to own a hard copy because I don't trust digital purchases. I'm old. Two, I want them as trophies, and I know I'm going to reread them multiple times. So thus is the reason I only have a library, so to speak, of about 400 books, because most of them are trophies, or I've purchased them years ago and still own them today after I did a massive unhaul early last year. So I think as the best way to introduce myself is to tell you what I like to read. So my favorite books currently. And it's pretty easy because I own my favorite books currently, and then I have a few authors that I don't necessarily own everything for them, or I don't own books from them right now, but I plan on getting them as trophies. So I read a lot of romance, and one of the authors that I love that gets me every time is Emily Henry. And of Emily Henry's books, Book Lovers is my favorite. Charlie Lastra, gun to my head, will forever be my favorite book boyfriend. I love him. I love this book. I love how it turns the small town romance around, and the city girl gets the guy. It's perfection. I love this book. I have read it so many times. I own it on Kindle. I own it in hard copy. I own the audiobooks. It's so good. It's so good. Next is a book from my childhood. I read it a lot when I was in high school. So much so that I read it as an adult and it held up, which is saying something, because I've read a lot of books that I liked as a teenager and a middle schooler and all that. They don't hold up. They don't hold up as a 35-year-old adult. Like, I cannot get into young adult anymore. I just can't do it. I'm too old for it. And that's no shame on anybody that's my age that enjoys it. I cannot get back into it. So this one is by Mercedes Lackey and James Mallory, and it is the Obsidian trilogy. This is just the first book in the trilogy. I own all three. There is a sequel trilogy, and there is a prequel trilogy. I have not read them. I do own them. I need to read them. They're on my list to be read. But this is like the epic fantasy, this is what I read as far as epic fantasies go after Lord of the Rings, and I enjoyed this so much. It does feel very young adult coded, but it holds up. It holds up. Like, it's just good. It's so good. I recommend it to everybody. It's been a couple of years since I've read it, so I'm not sure if I missed anything in there that now could be problematic. I'm sure there's something in there that somebody might take offense to. This was written in like the early 2000s, 2003, but it's good. It's so good. And if you're trying to get into fantasy, something like this might be up your alley. There's just a lot going on, but it's good. It's very good. back into romance, there's another series that I tell everybody to read. It's technically dark romance. There are trigger warnings, but as far as like the romances themselves go, these aren't like bully romances. Most of the men, all of the men, are simps for the women. It's the Perfectly Imperfect series by Neva Altaj. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing her name, but I cannot recommend this mafia romance series enough. It is so good. There is currently 10 books in the first series. There's also one book in the spin-off series. And then there's another book coming out in the main series as well. I love them all. These are just so perfectly written. Like at least one of the main characters in every book has some sort of like physical flaw or a mental illness or something like that makes them imperfect, so to speak. Like these are not, most of these men are like fucked up, like just physically fucked up, but they are so good, so well written. I loved this. This was like just a random read at one point on Kindle Unlimited, and I love it so much. I had to own hard copies. I've got 4. I need to get like 7 or 8 more of the books. And then we get into sports romance. And any of my IRL friends can attest that I am a sucker for a good sports romance. I love hockey. I love football. I love baseball. I've read golf romances. They weren't my favorites. But I love sports romance, and I don't know anything about sports. I don't like sports in real life. I don't know. But the one that got me into sports romances in general, was a fucking figure skating. From Luke Off with Love by Mariana Zapata. Holy shit. The slow burn, the pining. Oh. Mariana Zapata is one of those authors that the 3 books that I've read from her, from Luke Off with Love, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, and All Roads Lead Here, were just like, they were so absolutely perfect that I love them. I've seen reviews from some of her other works that haven't been highly rated, and I'm scared to even look at them because I'm worried that I'm going to hate them. I'm worried that it's going to taint my feelings on Mariana Zapata. So from Luke Off with Love, I've read it multiple times. I've listened to the audiobook multiple times. Like, it's one of those comfort reads that I know I could put on and I know I'll be happy. And then we mix the two. We mix some dark romance with some sports. And we get the Fucking Wrong series. Hilarious. It's so good. Check your trigger warnings. But these men in this are just absolute, like, Perfectly Imperfect series simps. These guys, feral simps. They do all kinds of fucked up shit to keep their women. And it's fucked up. It's hella fucked up. But it's so good. It's so stupid and so good, and I love it. I eat this shit up. I read these multiple times. I've listened to audiobooks for these multiple times. They're so good. I recommend these to anybody that likes dark romance or like sports romance or any combination of the two. So good. And then we have a romance that changed my DNA. This is like a book. It's technically a series of novellas. But it's been in my head since I read it in 2023. I think about it almost on a daily basis because it's so good. It's like the epitome of feminine rage. And like, it's just like the Mindfuck series by S.T. Abbey. Perfection. So good. So good. I recommend it to everyone. This is not like, yeah, it's dark. She's a serial killer. He's an FBI agent. Yeah, it's twisty. It's fucked up. So good. So good. Changed how my brain works. And the author has since passed away, so we won't get anything. There's nothing to compare. Anybody that says, oh yeah, this book is really like that, I've read them all. None of them are like that. None of them are this good. None of them have rang through this well. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. Please tell me that there's a book that gives the same energy as the Mindfuck series, and prove me wrong. I'd be happy to. But so far, nobody has proven me wrong. And then this one I just read towards the end of 2024. It's not a romance. I heard about it on BookTube, and I was a little bit skeptical, but it's Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. Like I said, not a romance. This is, think Dungeons and Dragons meets 70s metal band. I have never laughed so hard and then immediately turned around and started sobbing just as hard. Like this was so good. I need to read the sequel. And he set it up so that there will be plenty of sequels, I hope, because this was so well written. I was so shocked at how much I loved this. And I recommend this to anybody that likes any kind of fantasy or just wants a comedic book, like that just keeps moving. It doesn't slow down. Even when it feels like it should be slow because there's traveling or something like that, it doesn't slow down. It's good. As far as like authors go, that like I see that they've like posted something and I've got to read it. I own most of that. Mariana Zapata, I'll probably read whatever she writes next. Emily Henry, 100%. I'm behind. I haven't read Funny Story and she's got a new one coming out this year. But she staggers her hardcovers and paperbacks, and all that I own of hers is paperbacks, and her stuff's not on Kindle Unlimited, so I have to wait. Elsie Silver is another one that I've read most of her stuff. I think I'm still missing a couple in the Gold Rush series that I pick it up. I love it. It's at least a 4 or 5 star for her. There's some authors that I will begrudgingly read, but they have since started to fail me. One would be one that everybody knows, Sarah J. Maas. Really liked ACOTAR. I loved Throne of Glass. Crescent City I enjoyed but did not love as much. I did not like A Court of Silver Flames. I understand the thought process that, it's told for Nesta, through Nesta's point of view, I guess, so to say. I didn't like it. I felt like it was not true to the other characters. There's just a bunch. I love I'll read pretty much any hockey romance. I'll read pretty much any small town cowboy romance. Dark romances aren't off the table. There's some tropes that I'm just like, I'm good. I'm simple. I read anything. I like books. I like collecting books. I've moved away from buying more than I read. My goals for 2025 are to read down as much of my physical TBR as possible, catch up on the arcs that I need to review, and just read as much as possible. Like, the biggest goal was to set up a YouTube channel, so that's what I'm doing here. Oh, look, it's the next day, and I got distracted and forgot to actually finish the video. I got distracted by work. So yes, these are my goals. These are my favorite books. This is who I am. I will be doing mostly shorts on YouTube to stick with what I did on TikTok because I am a refugee. But there will be long form videos because, again, my goal is to set up a YouTube channel. So there'll be long form videos, rants, raves of books, ARC reviews, already published books reviews, that kind of thing.